Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Director Bradford's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sure. Please stand. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment, Fallon.
8. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to address the Board of Directors on any subject matter that is not on the meeting agenda and is within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. Public comment periods are limited to 3 minutes per person, and the total amount of time for public comment is 15 minutes. Persons participating by way of video conference or teleconference shall ensure their audio is muted at all times except for when the board announces public comment periods. At those designated times, members of the public wishing to speak shall enable their audio and state their name for the record. When multiple members of the public wish to speak, the clerk will determine the order of speakers and announce their names accordingly. To ensure proper conduct, the board reserves the right to mute the audio and video of any members of the public violating generally accepted principles and decorum of official public meetings. I would also like to announce that we are still having technical difficulties and we are unable to hear people on Zoom. So if you do have public comment, please email the clerk of the board on the agenda.
Thank you. I have one request to speak card. If anybody else wants to speak, come up after our first speaker, John Sullivan. Yeah, you can come up here and film if you want. Yeah. Go stand by that podium or something so you can get a shot that way if you want. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. You have to lift the microphone up a little closer, John.
Hello?
Yep,
Okay.
we got you. Thank you.
I can't hear myself, so it's good not to. Yeah, hi, my name is John Sullivan. We're a 3rd and 4th generation native California-born American family. California is where we live, and we're standing our ground. Just an American citizen, just a voter, and just a taxpayer, voicing my public comment when I think that something needs to be said within my county. Well, I would say to any American to make public comment, by all means, get to your county and state meeting peacefully and patriotically. Let your elected officials know what's on your mind, because there are millions and millions of us. AB 1346, California law, is a horrible globalist-minded law and has nothing to do with reducing exhaust emissions and everything to do with iron-fisted communists take over America and the American people. It is a gateway bill to wipe out the sale of all internal combustion engines and their parts needed to keep them running, all while making communist China filthy rich, forcing every kind of battery imaginable on the American citizens. The lawsuit the truckers have on California just reinforces the validity of my comments. The hypocrisy from the law, AB 1346, is that it was predicated on the belief that the electric batteries are a clean energy product with zero emissions, thus replacing the internal combustion engine. I will say it again, since the last meeting, to manufacture each EV battery, you must process 25,000 pounds of brine for the lithium, 30,000 pounds of ore for the cobalt, 5,000 pounds of nickel and 25,000 pounds of ore for the copper, digging up 500,000 pounds of the Earth's crust with massive diesel equipment for just one EV battery. This does not include the heavy duty production, since the cars are heavier, the toxic fires the batteries make, and the danger for citizens and firefighters, and the toxic disposal of the batteries. I have contacted Congressman Kevin Kiley's and Assemblyman James Gallagher's office to voice my extreme objection to this law that can spread like a disease of any size to anywhere in the country. And of course, I would say I will always encourage everyone to vote, no matter how corrupt the system may or may not be, but voter ID, paper ballot, and same-day voting will be the ultimate answer for the Yuba County and across this nation. But there is another solution to this fraud, the scam, to be nipped in the bud and to end it here in Yuba County, and it won't cost a dime and save millions of lost business revenue. The electric batteries are not the answer, folks, since much of the emissions are baked in the cake before the consumer ever lays their money down. And what about all the diesel and coal generators to charge these batteries also? So since cities and counties anywhere can declare they are a sanctuary for people illegally in our country, breaking the U.S. Constitution and leaving the Americans at the receiving end of everything bad, I declare Yuba County a sanctuary county for the internal combustion engine. After all, the internal combustion engine has helped all of us in this room and our parents and grandparents and beyond. The internal combustion engine will continue to help all Americans in one way or another until a tyrant that meets in places like Rome or Dubai, representing America, with other tyrants acting like foreign agents, come back to the USA on their high horse and enforce unjust, tyrannical laws like the eradication of the internal combustion engine. Zero emissions is just a myth. Give the internal combustion engine a break. Give it its sanctuary.
Hey, John.
In Yuba County, you will make history. Your voters will respond positively. God bless, and God bless America.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, consent item. Is there any public comment on the consent items? None? Okay.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve?
I'll second.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you. Discussion items. So item 4, we are going to postpone to the next meeting, Fallon? Correct. The next meeting. Item 5, consider approval of grants for the March 2024 application window. Terry.
Good morning. If you recall, in December of 2023, the board approved close to $25 million in grants in our grant program that has 2 windows, March and September. Most of that $25 million in December was to pay the local share in order to get a lot more money from the state and the feds. So in February of this year, after that big amount in December, we came to you and you gave us direction to really look at the grant program again. It was originally passed, the grant policy, in 2020. It's been 4 years. It's time to take a look at it and adjust it a little bit. So we are working with it and are getting ready to bring it back to the pod for review. In the meantime, you provided us direction to limit the March 2024 grant application window just to a few really urgent kind of grants. Bill Shaw grants, any application for local share of, say, a state grant that had a deadline of before September. Any cash flow loans where, I know this will come as a shock, but sometimes it's hard to get it takes a little time to get the repayment from the state. And so sometimes local entities need a cash flow loan. And then if there was any emergency funding that was needed due to a catastrophic event. So with those guidelines for the March 2024 application window, we have just 4 grant applications that the pod reviewed and is now recommending to the board for approval. Just going to have quick presentations on each of those 4 so that you understand what the grant application and the public understands and has an idea of what those grants are for. Sammy Nall, who is our flood risk reduction manager, is going to be handling, and our flood risk reduction grant program manager is going to explain the 2 flood risk reduction grant applications we have. We have 1 water supply grant, and Sammy's going to handle that as well. And then Jackie Silman will handle the water safety grant. I know the general manager of RD 784 is here to answer any questions, and Sean, I was looking to see if the OPUD engineer, Oliver's Public Utility District, had made it. They had an issue this morning. I don't think it was a big one, but 784 is here if you have any questions. So let me turn it over to Sammy.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Sammy Nall, as Terry just introduced, flood risk reduction manager for Yuba-Water. So I'm going to start off with the 2 flood risk reduction grants. They're both from RD 784. The first one is the Senandela Bend Erosion Site Risk Analysis. And this application really talks to the noting that the Yuba River, not Yuba-Water, Yuba River has undergone several changes in the stream flow alignment, resulting in just lots of changes and some loss of some private properties. And so although the property owners along the Yuba River are most immediately affected by this river's movement, there are some questions surrounding the potential impact to the RD 784 levees. If the river realigns with a historic sand channel intersecting their levee facilities near the Peachtree Golf Course. So RD 784 is requesting $142,000 in grant funds to perform a third-party analysis on design elements that might be needed to further protect this levee if there were a river realignment. The second grant, potential grant is the RD is asking for or requesting $150,000 from Yuba-Water to remove and inspect and rebuild 2 pump motors prior to the next rainy season. So these are near pump 7 and 9. One of these pumps are they still function today. However, one of these pumps focuses near to drain storm waters from the North Beale Road near the newly constructed Costco. So this grant would help do the rebuild of these pumps prior to them failing. So they work right now, but it's RD 784 is being proactive to prevent future failure of those pumps. So do we want to do all of them? Okay, we're going to summarize all of them first. So those are the 2 flood risk reduction grants. I don't know if anybody has any questions or if Patrick wants to speak to these, and then I can go on the OPUD.
Morning, members of the board. My name is Patrick Marr. I'm the general manager for RD 784, and I just want to take this time to thank you for considering our 2 grant applications for the pump rehabilitations of pump stations 7 and 9, and also for the Senandela Bend study analysis. And open to entertain any questions if you have any. But as Sammy mentioned, it's all about being proactive to eliminate possible problems in the future. So we just intend to move forward with that plan. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Sammy, do you want to open it for public comment on these 2 items and then do the OPUD while they're fresh on everybody's mind? So since we're kind of doing it that way, is there anybody from the public that wanted to speak on either one of those items? None? Okay, so we'll go to the third one. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. So this is this grant is from OPUD, Oliver's Public Utilities District. The OPUD is seeking to have bring grant funding or $605,000 to bring their septic to sewer consolidation project up to a construction phase to improve their opportunities to get future funding from the Department of Water Resources. So this project, if approved, can save over $5 million to this to OPUD by combining both the water and sewer projects together. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
Any questions from the board? No? Any public comment on that item? Okay.
Thank you very
Sammy.
much for your time.
Thank you. Right. We have a motion? Oh, one more?
One more OPUD.
Okay.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Messick and Director Zoll. So I'm here to talk to you about the Aller First Public Utility District. You know, of course, they provide the only pool in Yuba County. I am back again asking for $15,000, and this would be a matching grant to Yuba County Health and Human Services and Yuba County First Five, who have come together, and it's about $50,000 to keep the pool open for the summer. And so that's where we're sitting at. And as part of the grant, if approved, Yuba Water, we will be holding a safety day. We have those water conservation kits. We'll tell you about those later, and we'll be out there helping them get those out as well. So keeping them out of the Yuba River is the number one goal. So, any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Just to have a statement, I'll throw this challenge out to the board of directors to supply 10 season passes for children at the intermediate schools, and we'll pass them out to the principal and let him see who needs them. But I'd like to get 10 apiece from us, if that's possible.
I think it's probably possible. I don't know how we do that.
So let's just be clear. Director Vasquez brought this up in the pod, and he's not suggesting the agency purchases 10 free passes. He's proposing that the 7 directors pitch in.
Yeah.
Just want to be clear for the public so they know.
Yeah.
Step up.
Okay. Yeah.
In 15 years, the pool has saved lives from youngsters that have didn't know how to swim when they got here, but it helped them.
Absolutely. Why don't you, Andy, get with OPUD and get the costs and how we would do that and bring it back to us and bring it back to me, and I'll bring it to the other board members.
Well, I can share after the pod meeting that I did call OPUD and talk to Cindy. So if anybody would like to be invoiced, I just need to know who that is, and we'll send you an invoice personally to you.
Okay.
Okay.
How much?
Thanks.
Did you tell you how much it is?
You know what? I can't believe I didn't ask that, Andy, but I will get it out to you. I'll send an email out and let you know.
You just want us to all give you a blank check,
Would
Jackie,
you?
and you just
Oh,
fill it all out?
hey, we can get that pool redone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
you
take
get
care of
back
it.
with
The Bahamas.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's very important to me too that we give these kids swim lessons. I went on a school field trip once with my son when he was in about the 5th grade to the Gap Water Park, and some parent sent their child that did not know how to swim. He went off the slide and in, and I had to jump in and pull him out. So there are people out there that just think kids can swim on their own. So it's very important that we get these kids swim lessons and keep them out of the river. So
Also move to fund those grants. I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Item 6. Consider approving an employment agreement for the general counsel position. Willie.
Yeah, so for the past several years, given the expansion of the agency over the past 10 years, the amount of our legal work has increased significantly as the agency's grown. And in the past several years, this board asked that I look at the potential efficiencies by hiring an internal general counsel. Forever, the agency has used external general counsel, and as far as I know, it's been BKS for the past 30 to 40 years, and they've done an excellent job. But through that analysis, we found that it would save us some money, and we'd be more efficient by having one in-house general counsel that manages our legal issues and also manages the workload of our external counsel. So last year, this board approved the job description, scope of work for the general counsel, and the salary range. We then hired a recruiting firm who went out and recruited for this position. I think we got something like 11 potential candidates. We narrowed it down to 4, ended up interviewing 3. And at this time, staff would like to recommend Andrew Ramos as our internal general counsel.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? While you're figuring that out, are there any director comments? None? Nobody here? No comment? It says chat down there, one. Is that? Oh, that's you, Fallon? All right, well,
You can't talk.
apologize for our technical difficulties. We cannot hear whoever raised their hand on Zoom or whatever we're using. So the person that had a comment, we can't hear you. If you could please type in your comment so we can read it. Or call, can they call? It won't work. Okay. You could type in your comment.
The next step of motion.
Well, we'll give them a minute. There we go. Oh, that's from the
Sorry
last.
about that, everybody. This is Swarnjeet Boyle with OPUD. The annual pool pass is 70 and family of 5 is 120.
Oh, okay. How much for the individual?
We'll call and get Jack. Jack can get hold of it.
So I'll move that we accept the proposed contract for legal counsel.
I'll second.
I'll second.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Either Andy or I, we were.
Opposed? None. Okay. Item
Thank you, Swarnjeet.
Yeah. Item 7, receive annual dam safety updates. Tim.
Individual passes I'm requesting, not a family pass.
$700 invoices. She sent them out.
Well,
She's sending out $700 invoices.
I don't think so. I ain't gonna get many paid.
All right, good morning, directors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to just brief everybody on the state of our dam and dam safety program. So there's a lot going on this year and the coming years, and I want to you guys bring everybody up to speed on some of the things we've done recently and the current ongoing projects, as well as some future initiatives that we're looking into. So a few topics. So we'll talk about some of the items of bullards, and like I mentioned, some dam safety projects and other dam safety program activities as well. Because the dam safety program really, again, encompasses more than just physical dams, but other functions that are related to owning the dam, such as security and emergency preparedness. So first off, we'll start off with a big one, New Bullets Bar. Again, the fifth tallest dam in the United States. The big ticket item this year and coming up for the next few years is the Part 12D inspection. That's 12D is the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 12, Section D, requirement for dam owners to conduct an external inspection by an independent consultant. This is a Federal Energy Regulatory Commission requirement. It's a very big assessment, very important assessment. And one of the reasons that's even bigger this year and more, I don't know, important is the right word, but more critical this year is because a couple of years ago, the FERC revamped their entire Part 12 inspection process. It's become a lot more rigorous. And they also are now looking at risks associated with the dams and the various failure modes of the dam. So there's a lot more work that's involved in conducting this Part 12 assessment. So the assessment is due, the whole report is due back to FERC on April 10th, 2025. And we started work on this 6 months ago, so almost a year and a half early. That's how long this new process takes in terms of the preparation and the inspection itself. But we were working on this back in September, August of last year to prepare for the inspection. We hired Schnabel Engineering to conduct the assessment. So they're on board right now and getting some of the preparatory work and developing the inspection plan. So again, the 3 dams we'll be reviewing this year are New Boats Bar Dam, which is the comprehensive assessment. And that's the big one where, again, as the term implies, it's a comprehensive review of the entire dam, the history, all the activities associated with it. And it includes the new assessment of the risks associated with that dam. And then Our House and Log Cabin, they're on tap for just the regular periodic, what FERC calls a periodic assessment, which is a kind of a scaled back type of assessment. And then 5 years from now, I believe Log Cabin will come up for a comprehensive. And then 5 years later, I think Our House will be a comprehensive. It staggers between a comprehensive and a periodic every 5 years. The next, in 5 years, New Boats Bar will be a periodic assessment. So to give you a kind of an idea of the scope, right now, the task order that we gave to Schnabel Engineering is over $1 million for them to conduct this Part 12 inspection. That's over 3 times the cost that the previous Part 12 we did in 2020. And it's really consistent. It's consistent with really the other industry and talking to other owners. They've seen similar increases in the cost and the magnitude of the scope of work due to all the changes and the rigorous nature of the new assessment. So we're working on that right now, developing the inspection plan. Currently, the inspection is planned. The physical site inspection on a lot of the on-site work is planned for October of this year. The ICs are just right now. They're basically reviewing a lot of the documents, and there's a lot of documents to review. So it's in progress, and I will be updating the board next year once we get closer to finalizing the reports. But then there's also the follow-up work that's associated with these type of assessments as well. Next up, I wanted to review some of the major accomplishments and future projects that we've done at Bullards. Last year, we did a general spillway maintenance, repaired some spallings that we saw on the spillway. I mentioned we've also completed the automated total station project where we installed a new surveying unit that automatically takes readings from the downstream face of the dam to monitor movement. It's online right now and working well. There are some upgrades we're working to improve that unit, but it's exciting to see some of the changes and the information that data is giving back. Also, right now we're in the middle of upgrading some other instrumentation inside the dam, such as the wireless, just as the pressure gauges. We've just in the middle of upgrading those physical gauges where in the past the operator has to go in there and manually take the reading of the pressures. But now they're able to transmit the information wirelessly back to a central location where we can view them remotely. So looking forward to finishing that, I think probably around next month after the NERS 2 outage. And then it's kind of hard to, there we go. Now we're also reviewing the scope of some other, both minor and larger projects that are in the horizon. We have a couple of minor improvements around the dam, but one of the larger projects I wanted to, bring to your attention is additional spillway remediation and work that we're looking into. A couple of years ago, we did a major replacement of one of the joints in a concrete chute slab of the spillway. As part of that repair, we noticed some potential issues with the steel reinforcements. So right now we're investigating whether the scope of that deterioration and how much it affects the rest of the spillway. So that could be a larger project in the horizon over the next few years, as we are developing the actual scope of that work. And then another major project that's currently we're working on and in the near future as well is the low-level outlet refurbishment. This is the little hollow jet valve at the bottom of the dam it's supposed to help us, move water in event of emergency. Right now, our mechanical engineer, Aaron Esselman, is working on modernizing some of the control units. Those controls are 50 years old. We want to bring them up to modern standards and also kind of help us prepare for the 2025 Colgate Tunnel outage. And then we're also looking at potentially replacing the entire valve itself. As right now, we're operating at a derated value due to some hydraulic issues when we're operating over a certain type of flow rate. So those are big projects that also in the near future. Outside of the dams itself, there's various other important activities that we're also undertaking to ensure the safety of the dams, and that's security. One of the things that we don't really think about that often when we think about dams. This is security around dams and all that goes into it. 2 years ago, we did a vulnerability and security assessment to look at where are we vulnerable and what security risks do we have at our facilities. And so we've taken steps to address some of those recommendations. One of the big items is that we've upgraded most of our camera system right now around the projects to include automated intelligence detection and identification and detection and notification. So that's a great step for the operators that way they're not constantly looking at the camera to tell whether something's wrong. So it will be able to automatically detect various features and notify us of those of any issues that we program. Along with that, as of right now, we are also participating in the Department of Homeland Security Dam Sector Security Drill. That's a mouthful. That's a big drill. That's a nationwide drill that many hundreds of other owners and licensees are also participating in to test really the effectiveness of your security program. So our information systems manager and operations managers coordinating those various injects as we speak. And then the big one, not big one, but another item is just the FERC security inspection. It's also scheduled for 2024 when a FERC inspector will come out and review our security program. The last time they came out to our site was back in 2018, so we're well overdue. But we've made a lot of achievements since then, and I think he'll be pretty impressed with all the things we've undertaken. Lastly, for today, emergency preparedness. This is the one item that really, everybody should be more informed of. Being prepared for the unknown, really. We've updated our emergency response plan, but there's additional, training that goes along with that. Everybody understands that, most of us have never been involved in emergency. Hopefully, we'll never have to, but it's always good to be prepared. So working with the staff to get everybody training as required and any additional training for those various important positions under the incident command system. And then we're also developing the rapid recovery plan to support that aspect of emergency management. How do we recover from an emergency? So those are really the big items that I wanted to bring your attention. Some, again, the Part 12 inspection that's going on right now, that's the kind of big item that we're focusing on, as well as some small and larger projects on the horizon. And that's all I have.
Under questions, could you give us the history on the low-level outlet? As I remember, when we first started operating the dam, we were washing the road out, so instead of using the spillway, they used the low-level outlet and damaged it. And I'm wondering if you could give us the background and history of that.
Yeah, the low-level outlet history, it's a kind of a long history. I believe it was back in the mid-70s or mid-80s. I can't forget the exact date, but when they operated the low-level outlet back several decades ago, the steel liner had failed during that time, so they did some replacement of that outlet. right now they put in what we call a streamliner on the upstream intake to try to help with some of the flow through the outlet penstock. We've also noticed for a while that when we reached flows above a certain threshold, there would be various noises that's signs of potential cavitation. And we've seen some of that signs when we did that, when we went in and physically looked at the valve in 2018. So right now it's been derated to 1200, about approximately 1250 CFS from this normal maximum of around like 3000 CFS, partly because the main valve, the hull jet valve, is only several feet downstream of the upstream guard butterfly valve, whereas there should be a larger distance between the two valves, and that can potentially cause cavitation issues. So again, part of the reason we were looking at rehabilitating that is to try to bring the valve back to its normal capacity, because right now we're operating at a derated state.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
So I want to thank Tim for the presentation, but I also want to encourage the board. I know Director Matthews asked a question, but once a year, Tim stands up here in front of you guys and explains what's going on. And this year, one of his big pieces of information is this Part 12 inspection, kind of the increased scrutiny that all dam owners are going through and the associated costs. But I just want to encourage the board to ask questions now. We have Tim and Brian here to answer questions. If you have any questions, now's the time. Let's take a few minutes and explain anything beyond, the low-level outlet or anything else Tim has going on. New Bullard's Bar is the key to this agency. It plays a major role in flood control, water supply, and hydroelectric generation. It's our crown jewel. And if you have any questions about it, I think now's the time to ask. We're here and ready.
I could make another observation in security. One time when Kurt and myself went to the control room, we came out and the door, something happened, it wasn't closed properly, and the sirens went off. And of course, he phoned back to the operators. But at that time, the operators could see what was happening. They had no microphones to know if there was noise outside. And I was wondering if the alarms are going off and the control room didn't know it, that doesn't seem like a healthy situation.
I don't know if we have audible sensors outside the switch area now. I know that some of the cameras, I have to defer that to our IS systems. I know the cameras out there, we have lots of different types of cameras, the pan tilt zoom or PTZ. We also have like several new cameras with the AI detection that we've just completely refreshed. And I don't know what the additional capabilities of those new cameras are. So we'll have to get back with you, Charlie.
I just wonder, when your sirens are going off and they can't hear in the control room, it doesn't seem like that's a complete system.
Yeah, that's a valid concern, Director Matthews. We'll look into it. I don't know that that's the case anymore. We've done significant upgrades to all our security and SCADA since we built the 24/7 control room and upgraded the entire camera and SCADA system. I don't know when it was that you were with Kurt out there, but we've gone through significant upgrades the past several years. Kind of the last thing I'll say is our relationship with FERC. Since the 2017 Oroville spillway incident, FERC has gone through kind of many regulatory requirement changes. One of them is, as you saw today, is this Part 12 inspection. I think the Oroville incident was a catalyst for that. And FERC has really had to increase their scrutiny on dam owners. And what that causes is it causes a little stress in the relationship. Regulators regulate and they require dam owners to do certain things. And I've asked Tim and his team to ensure that we continue to maintain a positive relationship with FERC. We have the 5th tallest dam in the United States. It's highly scrutinized, as it should be. And I want to make sure that that relationship is strong and we can pick up the phone at any time and call Frank, our regional engineer in San Francisco, and just bounce an idea off them, let them know of a situation, and get nearly instant feedback. In the last couple of weeks, we had just one construction project that's kind of a minor construction project at Narrows 2, and the team said, hey, what do we need to do regulatorily for this? And I was able to just send Frank an email description and give him a call and just walk through what type of permitting requirements they would want. And I just asked them, I said, hey, how are we doing with our relationship with you? How are your inspectors, interpreting Yuba Water Agency's performance in the field? And he was very happy with our performance. And by the way, he let us get this project moved forward in the least impactful way regulatorily. And bottom line is Frank's accessible. He's happy with our performance, and I think that relationship is great right now. And that's not because of me. That's because of our folks in the field like Tim and Brian and others. So I just wanted to relay a conversation I had with Frank just last Thursday. That's a real life example of our relationship with FERC. So sorry to take so much time on this. This is super important to me, and I just wanted to make sure you guys understood where we sit today.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, go ahead, Don.
We installed the sensors on the face of the dam. What was triggered to cause that? Was that part of an upcoming requirements, or is that part of this whole program? Or
that was not
I don't
a
know
mandatory...
very much about the sensors. So.
that was not a mandatory requirement. That was an internal improvement, a process improvement that we decided to undertake. So I guess some background history on that. Previously, we had the old targets that were installed as part of the original construction. So they were 50 years old, using the same process they did back in 1970 when they built it to do the surveys. In that, they had a person manually walk out to these areas down on the downstream face of the dam. So they climb through the dam, climb down the hillside, and stand on this very steep cliff to look at these 2-inch targets, thousands of feet away, and take those measurements. It would take them, 2 whole days to take the measurements, and then we get the report back like a week later. All right, so there's a lot of hazards, a lot of concerns with that type of survey. So we want to eliminate some of those safety hazards, and also try to get more real-time information from that. So this project takes all the new prisms and the new unit, eliminated the need for manual personnel to be climbing these various treacherous locations. And we're getting multiple data points a day, every day of the year. So we have real-time measurements. We can turn it on as soon after like an emergency happens and try to understand, hey, has the dam moved? If there are any concerns with this before I send the operator inside there to take the readings. So we've also got a lot of new data from that. That's really interesting. And I know you guys don't want to hear about that by now, but if you ever do, let me know and I can show you some of the information. It's interesting interpretation of some of the data.
Thanks.
Through the chair.
Yep.
If you haven't seen that video on how they did it, if you don't get cold hands or sweaty palms, you got ice running through your bloodstream. If you really want to see how dangerous some of those things are, and take the camera view of shooting straight down to these guys hanging by a rope, it's an enlightening experience.
And I guess I should wrap up and state that, the dams are in good shape. From both the state and federal regulatory agency, they gave very positive ratings to condition of the dam. And even with the state, we talked a lot about FERC, but even with the state, in my discussions with them, and they say that, Bullards is not a concern of theirs, which is good, which is great, it gives perspective. So the fact that they're not focused on Bullards shows that, we're doing something right.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Manager's report.
Well, I want to thank Tim and Brian for that presentation, but Director Blazer brought up a question about the remote survey targets, and was that a regulatory requirement? And no, it wasn't. It's something that Tim proposed and that this board supported, and it's one example of how this board supports staff and allows us to invest in things like this real-time digitization of the data inside the dam, and that's one example of what he's working towards. I know he mentioned some of the others, but all the data we currently collect by hand, by manual inspections, we're trying to get digitized so that we have a real-time record of that. But I guess my point is you all support Tim and me in doing the right thing, even if it's not a regulatory requirement. And I can't stress enough how lucky I am to have a staff that thinks outside the box and proposes these things, but at the same time, a board that supports investing in these features. Again, New Bullard's Bar, our most important asset, and you let us manage it correctly. So I want to thank you guys for that. So we talk about averages all the time. I'll say averages year to date, and I'll say, precipitation average, snowpack average, and all that stuff. It's very rare that we have an average, but following this last weekend's pretty significant storm, especially for early May, we're going to be right at average of precipitation and snowpack, and it rarely happens. It's either very dry or drought conditions, or very wet and near flood conditions, or heavy snowpack. So we're right where we need to be. If every year could be like this, our jobs would be super easy. So I just want to let you know that it does seem like this storm is come and gone, and it's going to warm back up, and we're going to start seeing snow melt. We're going to be right at our max allowable capacity as the snow melts. I don't think we're going to have to spill, but this last storm kind of inched us even closer to spilling. But I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll be very close. So the water year will look great. The hydro generation resulting from that water will be great. Things are looking good on that front. We're currently in the Narrows 2 annual outage. We scooted it up from an early fall outage to an early May outage. So they took that unit down yesterday to do some work on it. The mini hydro, the little 150 kW unit at the base of New Bullard's Bar, has been tripping offline for the past few months, and we couldn't figure out why. Our staff reached out to our contact at PG&E, and sometimes this is very difficult to get PG&E to pay attention to something like just a 150 kW generator. It's not a town or a city or a whole group of customers that's out. But we got a hold of the right person, and they found that there was a problem with a PG&E voltage regulator that was causing our unit to trip offline. So I don't know that it's completely fixed at this point, but at least we found the cause and worked through it. And I want to compliment our staff for not just picking up the phone to PG&E and getting a no and stopping. They kind of dug and found the right person to talk to. And again, it's all about relationships and maintaining those. So I wanted to bring that up. The flow downstream of Vingle Bight through our powerhouse is about 3,500 CFS. We're using the Narrows 2 fixed cone valve to bypass flows around Narrows 2. Narrows 1 is online. The power system headquarters building in Oregon House. I don't know if any of you have driven by there recently, but it's definitely looking like a building. Trusses are up, walls are up. It looks like what it's going to look like. You can tell how big it's going to be. You can tell where the parking areas are. It's coming to life. So you can take a trip out there. And I know Matt Murray, our project manager, is going to give you an update, I think, at the next board meeting, show you some pictures and let you know how that's going. But as far as I can tell, all things are going well. So human resources staff is continuing to work through recruitments and updating policies and procedures. We've made an offer to a senior HR analyst, and that candidate is in background check right now. And once background is complete, the HR team will announce the finalist. The Appeal Democrat covered our kickoff to the project with Citrus to enhance levee monitoring through technology. That story was picked up by the Tribune News Service and shared widely as well. The Accord Extension and the North Yuba Water District Water Supply Grant were both featured in the appeal following our last meeting. The appeal also covered Sutter County's investigation into a community choice aggregation for their electricity provider. Because one of our supervisors one of their supervisors suggested we should provide them power, and we responded with the boundaries of the Agency Act not allowing us to provide residential power. Our latest partner profile featuring District 10 was also released in mid-month. Our sponsorships coming up include our sponsorship of the Aqua Spring and Fall Conferences, which we do every year. The Spring Conference starts today. We sponsored the Fairway to Health Golf Tournament, When Pigs Fly fundraiser for the Sheriff's Aero Squadron, and the Cinco de Mayo event held at Cotton Rosser Arena last week. Upcoming sponsorships include the VFW Golf Tournament, the Yuba-Sutter Veterans Stand Down, the Happy Landings lunch for Beale spouses, the Dinner in the Orchard fundraiser for Seroptimists, the Wheatland Pet Parade fundraiser for the Lions Club, and the Marysville Kiwanis Fishing Derby. We have an ABP meeting after this meeting, and our next Board of Directors meeting and a special meeting will be on May.
Thank you, Willie. Director's comments. Andy? None? Don?
Yeah. Director Bishop and I had a really nice tour of the North Yuba Water District operation up there. I've been on a lot of tours. Generally, going into the tour, I have a rough idea of what I'm going to be seeing. This particular tour, I was clueless. I had no idea of the operation up there. And fortunately, Leona and Riska gave us about a 4-hour tour of the whole operation. It was very enlightening to me, and it'll be very helpful because I'm sure we'll have upcoming conversations, and this gives me some kind of context of what's happening up there. But I'm sure Wayne will add to that.
All right. Seth.
I won't steal Director Messick's presentation about what a great job he did on the pigs flying, but he did a fantastic job, just as a sneak preview. So that was very well done. I'm glad we sponsored that. Another sponsorship we have coming up is Kiwanis Fishing Derby. Again, very much appreciated by the youth. The things that we funded today in Olivehurst, great stuff. The only public pool, as was mentioned, and $5 million in hookups for sewer and water for people that are in decaying septic scenarios. So all really good stuff happening in Olivehurst. My research project into what it looks like when you don't have sidewalks in Belize has again reinforced my idea that we need more sidewalks and stormwater drainage in our area so we don't end up as a second world country. And so to that effect, I met with our public works staff on drainage, and they could use a couple more positions for ditch clearing and maintenance. So hopefully we will coordinate with them and make that happen.
Thank you. Director Bishop?
I don't have much to add to what Don said, but we did have a really nice tour up at North Yuba and came away very impressed with their whole operation and staff and the job they have to do and the additional things they would like to do as they get the maintenance taken care of and start thinking about how they might serve new customers. So that's kind of exciting what's going on up there.
Great. Director Matthews?
Sad to report that a fourth generation family member that came here in the gold rush passed away unexpectedly yesterday afternoon. His name is Hyman Chime of the Union Lumber Company that started back in the early 1850s or 60s, I believe. And I would like to say that the agency, the family had invested in things like the Hallwood bonds and stuff when people were having trouble financing. And anyway, it's a great family, and I would like to suggest that we adjourn in his honor.
Excellent suggestion. We'll do that. Gary?
It's been a busy few weeks with respect to water agency related items on my calendar. Back in mid-April, I was able to represent the agency with supervisors or directors Messick and Fuhrer at Cap to Cap. As part of the flood team, we went with FEMA and regional congressional offices. Also, recently there was an Aqua board meeting, and yesterday was an Aqua JPIA board meeting, and this week is the Aqua conference, so I'll be down in Sacramento for that on Wednesday and Thursday. I also had a great opportunity to speak with the NACWA Water Leaders class. So thank you to DDD for helping me put together a presentation for that. And Ryan spoke there as well. The agency hosted them for a session a couple weeks ago. And I was able to speak about leadership at Yuba Water and the Board of Supervisors. I'm also very excited about the work being done in Arboga with respect to replacing septic with sewer, very important for our groundwater quality, and a couple of community events coming up. The Yuba County Office of Education has a roll and stroll coming up on this Saturday, the 11th in Marysville. Our South Yuba County Sunrise Rotary is participating in that, and I'm excited to be a judge of the chili contest there, so that'll be fun. And then the 18th is a crazy busy day, especially in the South County, where there will be the 100th annual pet parade in Wheatland. So it's not too late to sign up for that if you want to come with your pet and participate in the 100th annual. And not to be outdone by the 100th, it'll also be the 150th birthday of Wheatland, which has been rescheduled because of rain that happened a few weeks ago. So very busy day. Also, the Beal Car Show is that day out on base. So a lot going on, and that's it.
And because we don't have a bypass, you can't get down that far south. On the 18th is the fishing derby in Marysville, as well as we are having a Hmong celebration on the 18th. So there's going to be lots of stuff in the actual center of Yuba County, which would be Marysville.
Great. Thank you, guys. I just have a couple of things to report. I represented the Yuba Water Agency in the Marysville Kiwanis golf tournament along with Yuba County Office of Education. Needless to say, we didn't even come close to winning because I'm not a golfer, but it was a good event. And I would really like to thank the Water Agency for sponsoring or supporting the first ever Yuba-Sutter Sheriff's Aero Squadron fundraising dinner. And also dual hat. I am the commander of the Yuba-Sutter Sheriff's Aero Squadron. We've been in existence since the 40s. I haven't been the commander that long, but we've been self-supported this whole time. And this was our very first fundraising dinner ever. And I really wanted to thank Director Fear for coming and working there, running a game. Director Bradford came. I don't know, some of you guys couldn't make it, but it was Willie was able to make it. Some of the staff was able to make it. And I think we really, I don't know, what's your opinion, Willie? I think we did a good job for the Water Agency. We had the banner up. We had a game that we used Water Agency memorabilia, and we did a lot of good. We were Yuba and Sutter County Sheriff's Aero Squadron. We had a lot of high profile people from Sutter County all the way over at a party in Olivehurst, and they were very impressed. And there was people there that didn't know our airport existed, didn't know what we did. We got a lot of good word out for the community for both counties.
Well, you asked me my thoughts.
Yeah.
John asked Dom Belza to MC the thing, but if we all know John Messick, I think Dom Belza spoke like 20% of the time, and John Messick spoke about 80% of the time. So it went great. You both did a great job. It was a great turnout. And I'll say this, it was supposed to be on the runway. You know, that's where it's supposed to be, but we had that major storm on Saturday, so they moved it into the old Coca-Cola building.
Yes.
When I walked in there, it just looked like it was supposed to be there. You guys did a great job kind of converting from an outdoor event to an indoor event, and it was a great turnout. I want to thank the staff that showed up from Yuba Water Agency, and then you missed Director Blazer. He was there as well, so I want to give him credit.
Were you there?
Mm-hmm.
So I told everybody it was our first event ever. So if it looked like we were a little unorganized, we weren't. We were very unorganized. So I was bouncing from the kitchen to the stage to the bank to the bar to the raffle items, and I never really got a chance to stop and talk to anybody personally. But yes, I did speak on stage, and I tell everybody I don't speak very often, but when I do, I speak too long or too much. So it was a great event. I appreciate the support, and we're going to move our second annual one to the third week in May next year, so we can hopefully have it out on the tarmac, not the runway, the tarmac, and have a good aircraft.
I'm not a pilot.
Okay, so if that's it, meeting. Oh yes, we'd like to close this meeting in honor of Hyman Chime, owner of Union Lumber. I'm sure all of you know him. If you've ever been in Union Lumber, he's there, and been, like Director Matthews said, long time fourth or maybe even fifth generation around here have done a lot of great stuff for the community. So I'd like to close in honor of Hyman Chime. Meeting's adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
In the heart of Yuba County's wine country lies a quiet estate, surrounded by tall pines, a lake with waterfowl and fish, and room to get married. Share your vows with your family and friends in a special place, in a memorable way.
It turned out to be everything I thought it would be in one.
Frenchtown Inn, just 38 minutes from Marysville, a world away from the usual.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
Smile for me. Yes, I heard this